What's something nobody warned you about being an adult? How incredibly hard it is to make and keep close friends once you leave school/college. You have to actively schedule time and put in work. Friends don't just happen naturally when you're 30 like they did when you were 15. One thing I have found is that I do things I want to do and invite people along. Want to go for a hike? Ask people to come along. They say no? Still go. Also, I see a lot of them. I realized I was the only one who ever reached out, so I just stopped. And now we don't talk because I noticed they never call me. That sentiment isn't as cut and dry as people make it out to be. If you call people and they still answer and talk to you, that means they probably enjoy it. If you invite them to hang out and they do, keep doing it. Even if the effort is one-sided, there are lots of reasons why others may not reach out. I am the one in my friend relationships who often does the reaching out. I felt similarly when I realized I don't often get calls myself. But I also realized that this relationships make me happy. And my friends keep responding and hanging out with me, and it seems nothing is wrong. I'd rather be the reacher-outer than to write off those friendships. And last year, one friend even thanked me for being the first one to call, because she admitted that she has a hard time due to social anxiety and thinking I may not want to hang out with her. Yeah, I get both sides. I used to be the one no one called, still kinda am, so I do stuff and remember people and invite them. If they say no, and I'm by myself, then I might meet new people as well. Even harder when you're not a drinker. This too. A lot of people at my age, 27. As I pointed out above, a lot of people drink. Not all, but a lot. When I do try and find buddies, the default is often wanna grab a drink? To which you can reply yes, and grab a non-alcoholic drink. Sometimes it's not about an alcoholic drink, but kind of like, let's grab a coffee. Just this culture is so focused on drinking these days. Also, if you say, yeah, and grab a non-alcoholic drink, you can see how a person reacts to you not wanting to drink. And you can figure out if they're a red flag or not. Our culture prioritizes romantic relationships over all else. My experience over the years is that friends want to hang out until they get into a relationship. Then they're gone. Yes, this is sadly common. A bit dispiriting. Especially when you realize all the couples are doing dinner parties and holidays and the single friends aren't invited. This rejection was so consistent across all of my friendship groups that I concluded it must be instinctive. And then I got remarried, and I'm socially acceptable again. Ugh. A couple of my favorite friends are single and we talk and hang out more than I do with my married friends. But I was single for 12 years, so I consciously make the effort. I know how it felt, crappy. The cheat code for that is recurring social hobbies. I've been really fortunate to have been able to meet a great assortment of cool friends through D&D, pub quizzes, hash runs, board game nights and other stuff. It still takes time to go from friendly acquaintance to actual friendship, but the key is putting yourself out there on a regular basis with folks who have similar interests. Piggybacking onto this, you learn very quickly who, if any at all, of your friends were actually friends with you because they chose you, rather than you just being available in the infrastructure, school classes, buildings, etc. I loved my friends growing up, I still love them now, but I also resent them deeply. Both can coexist. After a decade of being the only person planning hangouts to keep us together, I'm just burnt out. I refuse to invite any of them to anything anymore. Because since I stopped inviting them, I've yet to be invited to a single thing. Not even coffee. I just don't have it in me to water gardens that bear no fruit anymore. Either they did not care after the point of forced proximity, or if they did, they're hanging out with and prioritizing their relationships with other people with their time instead, which, I cannot stress enough, is fine. They're entitled to that. And I am not entitled to their presence, but it is annoying as hell that I've had to be mommy for years to keep the friendships on life support when they could have just saved me the hassle and dipped in the first place. No one wants to end a friendship directly BC of a drama, but had they just stopped accepting invites, were straight up with me, or at worst ghosted me, it would have saved me a literal decade of pain and stress. I'd be better off both mentally and time/energy wise. And I genuinely don't think my life would be better off if I forgave it or started trying again. My best advice for any new, up-and-coming adults: if you are the only person who plans anything at all, confront the disparity within the first 6 mo's, unless there are legitimate crises/emergencies causing it. The next best time to get off the wrong train is always right now. The longer you wait, the harder it is to get back to the right one. My mom warned me about this. And I was like, no, we're different. We have plans on doing this and that together. Boy, it got lonely now. She told me we will go in different paths. She just smiled in the way like it means, you'll get it when you're older. On the flip side, people will pretend to be your friend just to get what they want. Friends are difficult. Not every hand that reaches out is a helping hand. Such a profound sentence. Some hands reach out just to see what they can take with them. Stop expecting you from other people. That is so hard. One of the hardest lessons to learn. I always think that other people are my kind of normal. Great observation. They don't want to communicate, talk about their feelings or empathize the way I do. Pretending is easier. Pretending that they're living well. Realizing I have to decide what to eat every single day for the rest of my life is honestly exhausting.
Yes.
And forgetting all foods when it comes to shopping, like I have no idea what we've made in the last 10 years. OMG, yes, I thought it was just me. What would you like to eat? And what are my options? Then I ask my GF for help picking and she hits me with the old hi DK. You choose, like I haven't picked the last 50 dinners in a row. If a cooking robot was invented, that could make any meal I want whenever. I would pay insane amounts for it. Imaging coming home from work and having a hot fresh meal ready to be served. Now I realize why my mom made the same meals over and over again. Children start school. Now calculate how many peanut butter sandwiches you have to make before they finish school in 12 years' time. Advice: do not do this, you will end up slitting your wrists. Freeze all 2.400 of them in advance. We have a menu in our house, with pictures so you get the visual.
Oh.
I want to eat that. You have to choose to get fit and stay fit unless you have an active as hell job. Even then, you have to eat right because your metabolism says.
Ha!
You thought. It's unbelievable how much work goes into having a mid-physique and relatively clean house. This guy on Twitter. The amount of idiots you have to interact with. As a kid, I assumed every adult knew what they were doing and had their shit together. As an adult, I think I was more competent as a kid than some of these much older adults are right now. It's very frustrating. Regularly interacting with C-suite executives has made me realize that they are just winging it half of the time because they have no clue what they're doing. C-suite people are what made me entirely lose faith in the idea that we are a merit-based society. I have yet to meet a single one that is truly competent in understanding what their workers do. It's like a daily endurance test for my sanity. Also constantly checking if you're the one being an idiot. Also, growing up and realizing that the people who raised you are complete morons. I did not appreciate nor respect what my parents, the adults in my life, did just in transportation to and from programs, events, games, hanging with friends, and all that. Wow. Most American sentence I've ever read. I realized how much less effort this aspect took for Dutch parents when I was in the NL. The kids just do this on bikes. Signed, a fellow suburban American. Why are trash cans so expensive? I'm not talking about the ones for the garbage trucks. I'm talking about the ones you keep in your home. Why did my simple trash can cost me $50? Hint, they are reusable, but it's full of trash. They really need to make some sort of liner to use. You could remove and capture all the trash without ruining the entire trash can. $1,000,000 idea. But until such technology exists, my garage will be full of trash cans. Just use a bucket. Now try buying blinds or curtains for the house. Not everything is black and white. Sometimes there are shades of gray. The older I get, the more I realize things in life are complex. Nuanced shades of gray. Black and white thinking is how children and low IQ adults see the world. There are only shades of gray. How much healing of your younger self still needs to be done, and how selfless you must be to properly have a family. To add to this a bit, younger you grew up thinking what your parents did was normal until adult you realizes the exact opposite, or your therapist gives you that.
Nah.
Man, look. Book suggestion on this subject. Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Yes, I read this and still trying to come to grips with it. I'm 67 and childhood affects the entire rest of your life. Unlearning coping mechanisms that protected you as a child but are damaging your relationships as an adult is so incredibly difficult. You can say that again. My habit of distancing, cutting off emotions when conflict happens because I need to be ready to disappear or fight, makes it very hard to have difficult conversations. I can't have conflict and emotions at the same time. It's like if tomorrow right means left and up means down. It's a lifelong job to unlearn it, especially when it saved you. How long stuff takes to heal after a while. This has been the fucking worst, especially as I continue to age. I'm a really active person, rambunctious, and I work in a restaurant. When I'm not at work, I'm fiddling around in my workshop or doing yard work. Constant small injuries are a normal thing for me. The ever-increasing length of time it takes to heal, even minor cuts, scrapes, and burns, is getting really fucking annoying. Also, everything fucking scars now. Everything. You can hurt yourself easily. One time I stretched, and one of my neck vertebrae shifted in a bad way. I could not turn my head. No one told me I would injure myself getting in my car. Or sleeping. Couldn't turn my head for a few days after sleeping in a position that felt comfortable going down, but not getting up. Slept in front of the TV this Saturday. My back is still asking if I'm a fkin idiot. Your job's a joke. You're broke. Your love life DOA. The amount of scrolling it takes to select my year of birth on those drop-down fields in forms. It would help if some of them didn't start at the current year I'm filling out car insurance information. I'm not zero. How no one, truly is ever really an adult. This is the one that got me too. I'm friends with a lady at work. About my parents' age, maybe 57? We always talk and I asked her at what point you start feeling like an adult. She said you don't. And that there are times where she wishes her dad was still here so that she could go to him for advice and ask him what to do. My mom is also about that lady's age. She recently got a raise or a bonus or something at work. And when I went to visit I found my mom crying. I asked what was wrong, and she said, I just want to call my mom and tell her, but I can't. My grandmother has been dead for almost 20 years. What also sucks is watching your parents get older. I'm seeing them enter their golden years, and it's like I forgot that they're aging too. But I see it happening, and I feel that same dread creeping in that I would get seeing my grandparents in the hospital. It's hard to describe, but I dread the day I can no longer call my mom and dad. And, slowly but surely, that day is coming. Growing up kinda sucks sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Watching loved ones, especially those that used to be full of life, vibrance, and charisma, slowly decay is painful. To put it lightly, that hard work, caring about your job, being a team player are never appreciated or respected by employers. That the more you do the more they expect. This is the truth. I learned this when I was working at a factory in my early 20s. Basically there was a standard quota everyone had to do for finished product. Being new I wanted to prove myself or whatever, so I was going way over the quota. After a while I decided to just do the standard like everyone else. I actually got in trouble because, we know you can do more. Meanwhile everyone else just did the standard. I ended up leaving due to that job really not being for me. It was pretty miserable there. Also a similar topic regarding going above and beyond. Some places it doesn't matter when it comes to promotions. You can work your ass off but will still be passed over for promotions by someone with less seniority and less experience due to nepotism. Adults who are given a small amount of power tend to misuse it because they've never had power before. Don't actively fight them, but do resist. Oh heck yes. My coworkers are only a few years older than me. But because I'm still in training and they had it bad during their training time, apparently I'm not allowed to enjoy my own. That being tired becomes your default setting. Most people are walking around with their own brand of personal imposter syndrome feelings on a regular. The majority of people you meet are insecure and don't have anything figured out. It's the ones that try the hardest and loudest to convince you otherwise that you should keep an eye on. Just how real wanting to go to bed at 9 p.m. is. The amount of times you can make mistakes always has others looking down on you. We're all just human and growing daily. Wish more people understood no one gets life right the first time. Menopause. The aperia part of menopause was certainly never really discussed. Everything is expensive. Loneliness. Hey, OP. 49-year-old married father of 2 in the UK here. 3 things for me. That at some point, being an adult and a parent just seems to be tidying the kitchen over and over again. That being an older, 50-ish adult is really quite nice. I'm now the most relaxed and content I've ever been. That when you get married to a woman and grow older together, she somehow just becomes sexier and sexier. When I was younger, I kind of assumed I'd always be attracted to younger women. Nope, turns out that a curvy, confident graying middle-aged woman is all of that and more. Hey, I'm a 49-year-old father of 2 from the UK who has been with my wife since we were 18. Sounds like we've had parallel lives and realizations. Debt. They need to make this a more serious discussion. How quickly it all happens. Finding a good vacuum and a good office chair is harder than you think. That you will keep learning until you are gone. I thought that when I become an adult, with responsibility I will become the best version of me and I will know what I want. I still feel lost and don't know what the F I want from my life. It's hard to make new friends. Bills. I feel like I wasn't warned enough. No one told me my parents would never stop seeing me as a kid. My father straight up doesn't respect me as a man and would rather lie and gaslight me to control me than realize I can make decisions for myself. No one told you because that's not normal nor healthy. Having to go to the shop. There's always something you need to get. Every single day. Celebrations happen when you make them happen. Christmas spirit needs to be actively called in to arrive. Otherwise, it's just a slightly festive lunch. I can't play with my action figures in the airplane anymore. Yes, you can, and don't let anyone make you think otherwise. But he's the pilot. That adulting is so hard. How do people manage to work, exercise, eat, socialize, and sleep every day? It's beyond me. Having to be the adult in situations where you need an adult. People are really shit. Unbelievably shitty. Sometimes you can do everything right and still lose. Having to figure out what to eat every day. I grew up poor in a black neighborhood in Dayton, Ohio. In my late 20s, I moved about 20 minutes away to Kettering, Ohio. When you grow up poor, you always know that you're at a significant disadvantage, but it's not until you leave that you really understand it. The entire system, down to city planning, is designed to keep you poor and forgotten about. I've been living here for about 5 years and I haven't had one single reason to go over to that side of town. I realized you could get up for work, drive your car out of the garage, get on the highway, drive to your job and drive home and pick up groceries on the and never once see a poor person for years. Your life is completely isolated from the real world. I would be in the school drop-off line surrounded by Mercedes and Audis and Teslas, yet only 20 minutes away. The kids at my old school are in first period, shaking like a leaf, because the only time they ate was yesterday at school. If you spend your entire life in well-off area, your only idea of a poor person or black person would be what you saw on TV. I'm typically the only black person except for a handful of others I see in passing. It's wild. My girlfriend is a white woman. Her family owns a house on Lake Erie. Anytime we go up there, I never see any person of color for the entire weekend. Bars, restaurants, out on the lake, etc. It's as if they don't even exist. The street I used to walk to school on is still cracked and broken, and it feels like driving on a gravel road. Yet the road outside of where I live now has been replaced twice within 5 years. And then to end all this, I'm still poor. I'm still one paycheck away from financial ruin. It's a system designed so if you fall down there, you'll never make it back out. It goes
So
fast. It was just 2021 and boom. The more you age, the more the responsibility is. Other adults. Cheese is expensive. The plan for the future is not the same for everyone. When I was a child, I thought the future was finish high school, finish college, get married, buy a house, have babies. What I didn't realize is that college isn't for everyone. Homeownership is hard and takes a lot of time. And sometimes it's better to make the decision not to have kids. At least that's how it has been for me. I'm sure others feel differently. How everyone you know eventually dies. Even ones you thought were invincible. It might sound stupid, but I truly didn't realize the hurt and pain that comes with loving others until I became older. How relentless it is. There's always something needing to be taken care of. If you're lucky, it's only one something, but usually when you think it's only one something, it's because you're forgetting about something else. That being an adult doesn't equate to maturity. The effects of inaction. How you will get to a moment where there is some sort of crisis and you will be in charge. Everything is temporary. Good things, bad things. Nothing lasts forever. That you can get old and still not know what you want to be when you grow up. Nose hair can get out of control. Ear hair becomes a thing as well. That weekends are not for having fun, it's a time to recharge and doing household chores. Other adults asking for money. Watching your parents wither away. The constant, low-grade terror of administrivia. You don't just have to do the dishes, you have to remember that you need to buy more soap. And that the sponge smells, and that the drain is slow. It's a never-ending game of whack-a-mole with tiny, boring problems. You're in charge of your own self-growth. Ugh, that it sucks.
nah.
Probably that you actually don't have a ton of choices and freedom. There are so many responsibilities, and I'm always spending money on not fun things. And there are not hoverboards. How long it takes to do everything. How there's no more getting out of things. You just have to do them. You will no longer be able to subsist on Taco Bell and Mountain Dew. You will even want to eat fresh vegetables and to drink water. How often you need to clean the kitchen. You constantly have to make decisions. It's tiring. That the adults you grew up around are as broken and lost as you are, and none of them ever really have all the answers. The laundry. Nobody warned me about how tired you feel. Like, all the time you go to work. Come home, maybe try to eat something semi-decent. And then wow, it's 9 p.m. and you're trying to decide if it's worth starting a new show or just staring at the wall in silence. How many people don't wash their goddamn hands after using the bathroom? When you build a house, it doesn't come with a lawn. The lawn is extra. And trees?
Yeah.
Right. What do you think this is? A national park? Nobody warned me how much of adulthood is just constant problem solving, even for little things. I also didn't realize how lonely it can sometimes feel, even when you're surrounded by people. How tired you're going to be all of the time. That it's easy to spend money, but also it's easier to spend a ton of money. Bills. What more bills this month? I just paid them. Your house/apartment is nothing but a big bedroom, and your place of work is your actual home. That adults are basically just winging it. I was under the impression they had it together when I was growing up. The relentlessness of it all. Unless you have a trust fund, you can't take more than a brief break from adulting. Hemorrhoids. Watching your parents get old. The biggest struggle in my life is figuring out what's for dinner. Every single fucking day. Mainly cause I have a family to feed. If it was just me, I could fucking care less. I'll eat a bowl of broccoli IDGAF. How much guilt you will feel about things you have no control over. You can do everything right and still fails. How often you have to clean the kitchen. Like, dealing with the fact that 20 to 30% of everyone you interact with is AF racist and cannot be trusted at all. Nobody has it together. Everyone is just figuring it out as they go. As a kid, we lived in the illusion that adult life was about having independence and having it all figured out. In reality, everyone is just cosplaying. As a kid, the only reason I wanted to adult was to be able to eat whatever I wanted for breakfast, even cake or pizza. Otherwise, I knew it was highly overrated. Serious illness. That is better than being a child. If you don't have friends, your well-being starts to deteriorate really quick. Love your bro, as you love yourself, Ojo. As an adult, you are completely alone against any problem. People will be rude as hell to you for no reason. Especially in workplaces, so many times I've been ready to box because the way people randomly flip out. How much of adulthood is admin? Not big stuff. Just endless tiny decisions and forms. Rent, utilities, insurance, taxes, doctor letters, password resets. You don't finish it. It just respawns, and no one checks if you did it right. Friendships don't run on vibes. They run on calendars. If you don't schedule people, they quietly disappear behind work and bedtimes. A simple coffee can take 3 weeks of back and forth. And if you don't nudge it, it won't happen. The boring bills hurt more than the fun ones. A dental crown is $700 to $900. For new tires can be $400 to $600. A plumber shows up at $120 an hour before parts. Then your parents start needing help and you become their unofficial project manager. Everyone told me about responsibility. No one said adulthood is just freedom plus homework forever. How deeply disappointed I would be with people in general. Friends, neighbors, politicians, companies, celebrities. 2020 and on has really destroyed my faith that we as a people could make any form of small sacrifice to help each other or the world, or to stand up for what is right, even though it may be difficult. I honestly thought people cared about each other before that. I can't say that now. Something that hasn't been mentioned in the top couple pages. In addition to the effort it takes to keep friends, planned meals, buy food for said meals, vacuum some floors, do some laundry, scrub the toilets, change the beddie, etc. etc. Those efforts just never end. Next Monday, start of a new week. All those tasks are still in front of you. They didn't disappear over the weekend, and they'll still be on your to-do list next Monday and the Monday after that and the Monday after that. Relentless. That losing someone you love can feel absolutely debilitating, but the world is not going to stop to care. Recovering from an injury. I used to be able to recover from a sprain in a week. Now it takes months. Not to mention all the physiotherapy. The whole perspective of age. 18-year-olds get smaller for each year. I'm 28 now and 18 looks like 15. 40-year-olds look like 30-year-olds. In my head I can't believe I was that small at 18. My parents haven't looked a day older in my eyes, same with my older siblings. Also, when talking to 18 to 22-year-olds you start to realize how gradual the entry into adulthood is as well. Most people have no idea what's going on, and I don't think there's a lot of people who really think they are mature. The people who say they are mature is I am the least mature of the bunch. When you speak to someone who has only studied their entire life though, then you can see what being clueless actually is. Also that you don't actually feel older. Sure, I get neck pain or back pain if I sleep on the couch, or when we played drunk soccer an entire day my entire body broke down for 2 days. But mentally I'm a kid. Only thing is that 18-year-olds are even bigger kids. Except in size. How expensive everything is. A lamp, home decor, groceries. I'm so poor that nobody's going to help except myself. The drudgery of making shopping lists, buying food, putting it away, getting it out, making meals, cleaning up after those meals, and then doing that over and over again until you die. Figuring out what to make for dinner for life was a surprise. That one day you will be the old and wise one of the family. The people you looked up to are gone. You're now the one who has to help others, who has to be the good example. And it might happen sooner than you think. You will smile less and less. Make a meal, clean up a meal, make a meal, clean up a meal. Finances. My gosh, there needs to be financial management classes in school. People need to be taught about investing and saving money. They also need to be taught about common scams that cause people to go into extreme financial debt. Think about this for a second. If your average commute to work is about 10 minutes and you buy really expensive vehicle, you're basically paying a whole another house payment just to have something that sits in your driveway most of the time. That is crazy to me, but people get roped into it. Most people get themselves in way too much debt before they ever start making any real money. How people don't magically mature after reaching a certain age. You will live once. Don't figure that out too late in life. The work never stops. Change is the only constant. When I was a kid, I thought that our leaders and politicians had their shit together. Like they were smarter than me, and they have everything under control. Now I realize we have leaders that are so stupid. Even I wouldn't hire them to work for me, let alone run the world. How fast late-stage capitalism would happen and how bad childhood trauma affects adults. That money matters so much in life. As an Indian, I regret that I didn't go to Canada for higher studies. Would have made me much richer and much happier. How easily the dishes/laundry will pile up on you. The laundry just never ends. That it would suck this bad. Being an adult now like right now is absolutely not what being an adult in the 80s and 90s advertised to be. I want a refund. Debt, taxes, these bills. How difficult it is to lose a parent as an adult. It is considered as something natural and, of course, not as traumatic as losing a parent as a child/teenager. But it broke me. I always thought that I would go through it like everyone else does, that I would be sad but I would be able to handle it. It literally broke me to lose her at 31. I don't think I will ever be the same person again. The lack of time to do what you want, but also always having to do something. So many chores. That many other adults are lazy, stupid morons. How political everything is, even in a non-politics lifestyle. How cyclical life becomes when you get your career job. That a household trash can is $100 wilted flour. Taking care of kids and parents. Ugh. That I'd still have no idea what I'm doing. I always thought adults had it all figured out. Thought some switch would flip in my brain once I reached adulthood. Hasn't happened. I'm doing relatively well, but I often feel like I'm just bumbling my way through life and constantly getting lucky. Makes it hard to not worry that it'll all come crashing down at some point. How much the appearance of competence depends on limiting the scope of what you acknowledge to be important. My first clue to this was when I realized was that my parents only managed to be 100% on top of everything, because they acknowledged such a narrow definition of everything. It took me many decades to realize that most people practice this limitation as a conscious or subconscious strategy to maintain their self-esteem. If you have a long list of things that you think are important but which you're shit at because you don't make time for them, and you wonder why other people seem to not suffer from this, it's because they are protecting themselves by systematically, though perhaps subconsciously, defining their obligations to be a little bit less than what they can comfortably handle. Now I see it everywhere, and as my friends enter middle age, I see some of them pruning their lives and starting to dismiss and denigrate concerns that they used to acknowledge, rather than admit they can't keep up with them any longer. I also see it politically at work. Every company decision has to attend to some concerns and neglect others, depending on the environment. Politically savvy people often subtly or not so subtly undermine concerns that aren't addressed by their favored course of action. In a healthy group, their leaders call them out for it, saying, "We can't forget that X is important, even if we aren't choosing to address it now, but it's a clever hack if leadership is weak or cynical, that you'll be the one making all the decisions, and taking responsibility for them, too, even when you don't know what to do." The people you love will always leave before you are ready to let them go. Your friends get married, usually not much changes. Once they have kids, that's it though. How truly depressing it is knowing you're on your own. How fucking great it is. So many people said things would get so much worse and would get pissy when I did not give a shit, and they all fucking lied. Being an adult is fucking awesome. That you will want to punch of adults in the face daily, but if you do well it's a trip to jail. Can't fix ignorance. Time goes. The amount of choices you have to make. And if you think you're taking all the right choices, your life can turn out real shitty anyways. Pain, both body aches and deeper heartaches. Especially grief. Sleep becoming a luxury as it seems like time is scarce. So much things to do and tend to. The loneliness. Inflation. Mistakes have monetary impacts. I suppose when I was a kid, my mom ate all the costs. But now whenever I make a mistake it usually has financial impacts. Emptiness. The amount of time I spend plucking ear hairs. Where did you all come from? That you have to get close to those corrupted pigs. Face vomiting be plastic with people you don't like. Insurance bundles with your parents die when you hit 26. I cannot believe how much time I spend on food. Buying food, storing food, preparing food, cooking, eating, cleaning up, shitting. Like, we're just food processing machines. When you're a child, food just appears in front of you. But when you're an adult, you have to find and prep it most of the time. That there were so many accounts and responsibilities. Unless you have very outgoing and friends who communicate a lot, the amount of effort it takes to be social is a lot. Especially after 2020. How expensive everything is. I honestly have no idea how anyone can afford an apartment, even with roommates. That it's all on you. No one is coming to bail you out. Not your fault, still your problem. Someone screwed up you over, still your problem. No idea how to do it, still your problem. Honestly, nobody told me shit apparently. That people you grew up with will change and become irrelevant to you and you should focus on yourself instead. That you just feel like a kid doing adult things. There isn't an instant switch where you are like, I'm suddenly an adult. How expensive appliances are. I don't need a smart fridge, washer/dryer, dishwasher, etc. I just need it to work. Even the dumb ones are damn near $1,000. I don't need my fridge or any appliance to connect to the internet. I know everyone complains about taxes, but holy shit, why is the government taking half my paycheck and there is basically nothing to show for it besides a giant military? How their adults don't follow the same life rules and guidelines. Once you hit a certain age, you have to pee a lot. I can't even sleep in if I wanted to. You get excited about buying a new sponge. You're all alone. Your life isn't protected anymore like it used to. If you die, everybody would just be upset at the inconvenience. Nobody cares about you unless you provide some kind of value, either that be your body or money. It's so relentlessly expensive. No matter what you do, there's always another bill to be paid. No matter how hard you try to manage your money, the bills never stop. That you will become a caretaker for your parents. I knew it would happen, but it's much younger, difficult, and more expensive than I expected. That if you don't keep your shit tight, it's easy for it all to fall apart. Taxes and bills and depression. Everyone you meet is going to be your well-wisher. You never know what is going on in their minds. How you overthink and analyze every single thing you do and go into a spiral. Adulting is hard. Nobody told me adulting was hard. Oh wait, they were busy overthinking their own decisions. What to make for dinner every damn night. That the asshole rich kids you had to put up with in school are now adults. That there isn't enough time in a day to do everything. And if there is enough time, I don't have enough energy. Nobody actually knows what they're doing and most of us are just trying our best. How lonely it can be. Even when you're surrounded by people. The asshole kids from school just become asshole adults. There is no such thing as growing up for them. That the majority of adults are lacking. They as a wife you would continue to raise someone else's grown son. Taxes. Figuring out deductions, understanding forms, and making sure you don't miss a deadline. How hard it is to get your first professional job after graduating university. How many people are just real pieces of crap. I saw a dude sideswipe a car and then drive away. 10 minutes later, I saw a dude just throw his fast food trash onto the sidewalk. Who does that? That's not a culture thing. That's just disgusting.